Excellent. So now I will talk with Julian about education, about his school, and what he's studying right now. So, Julian,
hmm
tell me about what you started to study after you were done high school.
After high school, I took a year off and I worked. I got a job in a trade, and then now that that year's over, I'm at Capilano University just taking a liberal arts degree.
Excellent. And tell me a little bit more about the trade.
Sure. I worked as a finishing carpenter, so I worked in like custom houses and in one project in Surrey doing baseboard and casing on doors and windows.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was a lot of work involving wood.
Yeah, kind of. We used MDF mainly, which is just like particle board. And
Particle board.
yeah.
Interesting. So, and what attracted you to trade?
Uh, I've always been like I've liked working with my hands a lot, like with like, even through my dad, because my dad he's in the trades and he's kind of instilled that in me. Like it's nice to be able to do something with your hands and like and just build something. It's fun. And I wanted to go on a trade because I liked working with my hands, and it was like a bit of a freedom.
I understand that, and I find that really interesting. You're a bit of an artist.
Yeah, kind of like I like when I was driving around, like I in my trunk I made like just like a little organizer for all my tools and like anything I needed.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah,
so basically, you like building things, you like creating things,
yeah,
and that's what led you essentially to trade.
yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. And then, so you told me you took a little bit of a step uh, to the side, and you decided to work on a liberal arts degree.
Yeah, I've always liked the idea of being a teacher, like my mom,
Okay,
and just the idea of it just seemed like the next step to go on if I want to be a teacher. But right now I'm not so sure.
I think that that's totally fine. Personally, um, I have a lot of friends who have changed directions,
Mhm.
and especially friends who have changed directions quite dramatically.
Mm.
People who have started in arts and went into business, people who started in business that went into arts, and people even that finished a career, or rather started a career only to realize that that's not what they wanted, and later, went back to school to study something else. So I personally, I think that that's an interesting thing. That's something that happens with everyone. We can all, you know, take our time to figure out what we want to do. So I think that, especially being quite young,
hmm
like you were 21,
19.
you're 19. Okay, so you still have a lot of time to just see what directions you want to go in, and I think that that's great.
Yeah, it can be scary though. Like it's kind of hard to figure it all out.
That is true. It's hard to figure it all out. And now, what are your favorite subjects
Uh,
at school?
it's my favorite subject is history.
Your favorite? Okay, history is your
Yeah,
favorite
I
subject.
love history, and then up until last term, I really liked biology.
So I can assume that unfortunately you didn't have a very pleasant experience with biology last term.
No, the course was fine. Like the course was a lot of fun, but just the grade and like the workload was a lot different from high school.
Okay, so basically it probably involved a lot of memorizing terms and a
Yeah,
lot of reading.
yeah. It was like very similar to high school, but it just I don't know. It was like a next step still, and maybe next term.
I see. Fair enough. No, that's I understand.
hmm
Um, and in history,
Mm.
what do you like in history, or what parts of history do you like the most?
I like learning about like the big struggles in history. So like this term that's coming up in CAP, I'm taking the history class. It's all focused on World War II.
World War Two.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I like the wars, but then I also like like just what can happen through the wars. Like with America, they got their own independence through that one war, through the War of Independence,
Okay.
and then just also like it's just kind of funny compared to like how Canada got its independence just by writing a letter. And
True.
like I like looking at like the politics behind everything, and then also just like the wars.
Interesting. Okay. No, I think I have also had a keen interest in the world wars,
Mm.
and I also love history, and I think that I've really enjoyed many different historical events. You
Yeah.
know, like I went through a phase that I was just obsessed with ancient Roman history, and I still really love all the history surrounding Julius Caesar.
Yeah, he was a cool figure.
He was a cool figure, yeah, and he was basically, obviously, a really powerful man.
Yeah.
And but I think it's so interesting to compare how you study history that is quite ancient compared to history that is quite more recent,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like a world of a difference how
Yeah.
they did things compared to how we do things, but they're still very similar.
That's true. And basically, it's kind of sad how things get lost in time as well. So many things about ancient Rome we simply will never know, and the sources were perhaps not as reliable.
Yeah.
And there's not as much evidence of things versus so much that happened in a more current event like World War II. You actually get a lot more documents, a lot more a lot more evidence that you can study, right? So that's a bit interesting.
It's a lot easier to learn about your own civilization compared to like a different one.
True.
Just because like you have all that information still, and if
Exactly.
you still have someone you can talk to who was there, it's a world of a difference.
Exactly, and you have a cultural reference point versus we don't know. Or actually, we know how Roman culture was, but it's kind of hard to also
Like imagine.
Imagine exactly, put ourselves in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also like ancient history?
Yeah, I loved the Roman history like you, and then I was also really interested in like Mesopotamia and how like their and Egypt and like how they came out of like the sand.
Yeah, no, it's that I've also been quite fascinated with ancient Egypt. Almost more because of the Roman Empire and the ancient Roman history, but yeah, I think it's quite fascinating. So, do you have any other favorite subjects?
Not really. No, those two are pretty much my favorites.
Biology and history. That's
Yeah.
cool. Nice. And you're still considering, of course, perhaps being a teacher in the future.
Yeah. Still considering that. So I'm just like taking some courses right now that can just give me some credits to if I want to transfer to somewhere like UBC or and just also like there are credits I can use at CAP if I want to do the teaching program there they have.
Excellent. As a quick note, basically Capilano University is a university here in North Vancouver. It is a good university. However, it's a bit smaller than two other universities here in Vancouver. University of British Columbia, which is UBC, and SFU, Simon Fraser University. And Julian was talking about transferring the courses from CAP, which is Capilano University, over potentially to UBC or SFU to continue his degree over there. And if you were to choose between UBC and SFU, which one do you think you would choose?
I choose UBC because they have another campus just in the interior of BC. It's kind of it's a smaller version basically of UBC, but it's easier. It's the same teaching program, like it's the same courses and like same kind of like schedule as UBC, like that's in Vancouver.
Right. So it's the same structure.
Yes, perfect. It's the same structure, but it's just a smaller campus, and it's someplace that I can live on my own.
Excellent, and not with your family.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also something that I think attracts a lot of students, right? To just move away from home. It's a fun experience, and you can live with friends and so on. No, that's really cool.
Thank you.
So I wish you the best of luck in your studies, Julian.
Thank you, Gabriel.
You're welcome.